Hello there, it's Satellite transmitting to your screens. Today we will be reviewing Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries version 1.0.247 by Piranha Games, so let's have a look. Well, what can I say? It is mechs. Ever since I was a child and I played a mech game on my dad's old Apple Mac in the mid-90s, I've been enthralled by lasers and stompy mechs. However, unfortunately, ever since I got my hands on my own PC strong enough to run games when I was 16, there hasn't really been any single-player mech games for my generation, with the last installment of Mechwarrior being 20 years ago. Needless to say, I was very excited when I saw that Mechwarrior 5 was finally being released, but with it having fairly negative reviews on launch and combined with a fairly steep price, I decided to wait and pick it up last week when I could get it on the Epic Store for about half the price. You play the game by flying across space in your little dropship, completing contracts ranging from defense, demolition, or assassination, and earning credits to buy a variety of bigger and better mechs, which can be customized with different paint jobs and a complex loadout system where you can fit different weapons of the same type to empty slots on your mech. The loadout system may prove to be daunting to new players to the series, and I'm afraid to say that is about it. I'm sorry if I'm going to offend the die-hard fans here, but that is all there is to it. I really tried hard to love it, but there is just so much about this game that makes me want to hit the quit button. The story is boring and does not compel me to keep playing. Mission variety is bad and they all feel bland and samey. The game is full of pointlessly slow menus and eye-wateringly boring mechanics, like for instance you have to individually repair each mech and then move to another screen to click another button that completes the repair job by passing simulated days instantly. This is just pointless. I ask what fun gameplay experience would be lost if there was just a repair all mechs button. The game has a mechanic which makes it so repairs cost slightly more in a war zone, but flying out and back into the zone would cost roughly the same price as repairing the mech anyway, because spaceflight for some reason is really expensive. Spaceflight itself is just a map of nodes that you click on to travel to, in which you have to watch the same cutscene every single time. Not only that, but the main voice you hear in the game makes me feel like I'm being sent into battle by Haley from Coronation Street. She constantly belches out the same old phrases, like I don't know how many times I was told in the only small amount of time that I played that Farhad is going to crack open another case of Timbicky Dark. I googled that and it was not even a real drink.
Farhad will break open a case of Timbicky Dark when you get back to the ship safely.
Mechanically speaking, the game did work okay most of the time. I had a couple of crashes and my frames did generally stay above 60 frames per second with ray tracing off, so at least everything worked in that department. The game does have a little bit of a modding community surrounding it. As you can see, even in this video I had installed an interface mod, but I will say that I am very happy that I didn't pay the full price of £40 for it. Although I didn't do any research prior to my purchase, I really hoped that in the time between me watching those early negative reviews and now, the game would have improved a little bit. I remembered seeing the clips from 2016 MechCon that you can still find on YouTube that showed a very different game that looked much more ambitious. The video showed an immersive scene in which an old mechanic, probably the dad from the start of the game, tells the player to board an old mech that he slowly activates. The player rides an interactive lift that you can still find in the game as a static piece of scenery to his mech and enters the cockpit. He then seamlessly walks the mech out of the hangar into a large base in which you can see patrolling footmen on the ground and proceeds to fight and kill a hostile mech. Now that already seems like a completely different game to the one we have now, but there is even a much older trailer of Mechwarrior 5 that once again shows a completely different game that looked to have been made in an entirely different engine. It seems that Mechwarrior 5 has been through many changes of direction in almost every single way, which explains the pointless first-person gimmick that lets you walk around the hangar, and perhaps in the end the developers just wanted to bring out something to keep them ticking over, even if it was just a shell of their original vision. I just hope that if we ever get a Mechwarrior 6, the developers can stick to their guns this time and fully get behind their idea. I don't set out to make negative reviews, and my criticisms only come from a place of really wanting the Mechwarrior series to succeed, so I say best of luck to you, Piranha. Please learn from this and make the next one the defining mech game of our era. So to conclude, and I'm not going to beat around the bush, To put it bluntly, Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries is a failure. It looks like it had too many changes of direction and came out in a bit of a sorry state. The game is bland, looks dated graphically, and is way too overpriced for what it is. Sadly, the itch that I have to play a brilliant single-player, cockpit-based mech game still yearns to be scratched, and the search continues. By the way, whilst checking to see if there was any alternatives to Mechwarrior, I did find one called Mech Company. It looks to be a low budget game and I'm sure it will have its flaws, but it might be worth checking out, so let me know if you are interested and I'll go ahead and make a review of it. That about wraps up the video for today then. If you'd like to join me for my new reviews of other games in the weeks to pass, then please do subscribe to tune your receivers into the next satellite broadcast. Bye bye.